Well, hey everybody. Sorry I'm a minute or so late. I'm a little rusty on the whole live thing, getting the computer all set up. So I'm glad you're back. We had a summer hiatus. It's tough in the summer with, family events, barbecues, sitting on the deck. So it's nice to take a little break over the summer. We're back now. The plan is to be live every Sunday. Whoops. Is to be live every Sunday. At this time, unless we're on the road or we're traveling somewhere for a live car event, if we're going to a car event. Just make sure I've got everything set up the way I need it here. All right, that's good. Okay, so a couple of things. Coming up this week on the show, we have Questions, Coffee, and Cars, which is another way to get in touch with the channel. We record that tomorrow. It'll go out on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have the BMW M2. I'm just editing, putting the finishing touches on that now. Saturday is our second look at the Corolla Cross Hybrid. We got it back to see if we liked it as much, and we do. And we're also traveling this week. We're off to Montreal. We're landing in Montreal. Then we're heading out to the Eastern Townships to drive the new Kona from Hyundai. Okay, so let's get into the questions and see what's up. Our first question is from KPKP. What's your take on the GTI and the Golf R 6-speed getting nixed? And also, what is the preference? What is your preferred package for the GTI? I was looking at the base model. Also, my Sunday is now complete with you back. Well, thank you very much for that. So if you're not aware, Andrea and I, we've ordered a GTI. And we initially had ordered the Autobahn, so it's slightly different than it is in the United States. In the United States, the Autobahn is the top trim. In Canada, Autobahn is the middle trim. And the top trim in Canada is called Performance. So if there's any confusion there. So I think the base model is great because it still has the volume and tuning knob on either side of the screen. When you go to the middle and upper trims, that's when you get the haptic swipe sort of feature on the radio. So that I do appreciate. However, and if I was driving the car on my own, I might be tempted to get that with the sunroof package. However, our car, we ordered it in April, and it was supposed to be made, I think, in June, and then it got punted back. Production got punted back at the factory, and now it's supposed to be made, I think, in a week or so. So it's gone from a 23 model year to a 24 model year, and because of that, we had to go from the Autobahn, which is what we initially ordered, all the way up to the Performance model, because I want the Harman Kardon sound system. So it really comes down to your preference. The good news is the middle and upper trim in both Canada and the United States for 2024, if you get the manual transmission, also includes dynamic chassis control. So that's good. So if you're somebody that wants that, then good for you. Okay, I think we've already got some super chats coming in. Always appreciate those. So thank you very much. Oh, by the way, do you like my jersey? Bills. That's right. Getting set for Monday night. The Bills are back, not today, but tomorrow. So it all worked out doing my live show on a Sunday because I get to watch them. Jerome, my pal from Quebec, is here with a super chat. Happy NFL season. My Browns got a very important W. Congratulations. Good for you. All right. We have Scott here with a very, very generous, mighty generous super chat. Welcome back, Zach. Hope you had a great summer. I have a question about Toyota's wait times for Canada. I've been told 7 to 18 months for a Corolla Cross Hybrid. I've heard longer for other models here in the Maritimes. Well, Scott, yeah, we're getting reports, the same kind of thing, depending on which particular hybrid it is. But the issue is people are looking to save some money. If they need a new car, they might as well get something that's more fuel efficient, right? And a lot of people put their trust in Toyota because, as we call it, the bank of Toyota. They're reliable, they have great resale value, they return fantastic fuel economy. So a lot of people have turned to Toyota. If they need a new car, might as well get something that's reliable, might as well get something that's fuel efficient. And the long lineups for hybrids, I don't think is going to go away. People are willing to wait for a Toyota over maybe getting something else. Now we have a viewer that might jump in here on the live show a little bit later. He works with getting people cars in the Quebec region, and he says one thing you can do is go on Facebook Marketplace. So say you're looking for a 2024 Corolla Cross Hybrid, you could type in there and on the Facebook Marketplace, and you will find some for sale. So what the dealers do is they say they're a used vehicle with like 300 kilometers on them, but then they're putting them out on the marketplace, and usually for quite a bit more money. So if you really, really want to get one, you can get one. You're just going to have to pay over market. So the long wait list for people to get them often is for people who want to get them at MSRP. The dealers, being dealers, are always trying to excuse me, extract more and more money out, and that's one way they do it. So if you have to have a car and you're not willing to wait 12, 18 months for one, and that really does seem silly, you can pay more and get one, and that seems to be the place where they advertise. So check out Facebook Marketplace. All right, we have other questions coming in. Matt Culver, welcome back. Excellent reporting this summer from you and Andrea. You both have been very busy. Yeah, we don't take a lot of time off. We took about a week off over 2 weeks. We went away on one short getaway for about 3 days, and then the next week we went away for 4 days. Excuse me, on total. So that's a total of a week off. Not a lot. Hey Zach, welcome back. Do you think the MDX Platinum is worth the difference in price against the Honda Pilot Touring? For long-term ownership, my priority is comfort and handling. Well, interesting that you bring up the MDX and the top trim, because we are getting the MDX not tomorrow, not this coming Monday, the following Monday. We're getting the MDX back, and we haven't had the MDX since I think it was 2021 when this latest model was first introduced. So we're really excited to get it back, just to see if it's as good as we remember. So if you're not in a rush, stick around. You can ask a question for Questions, Coffee, and Cars in that one. What I will say is that the new Pilot is vastly improved. And if you follow along, you probably know that the Pilot and the MDX have a shared platform. They both have the 3.5 liter. They both have the 9-speed automatic. What you get with the MDX is more standard equipment, more features, and a very different interior. I would say that the Pilot is more analog and more kind of what people are used to, real dials and rotary switches, touch screen. The MDX, you have to use a trackpad to interface with the car, so that's something that you might not like. So they're both excellent products, but stick around because in about 2 weeks we are going to get the MDX back. Here's Gary. Welcome back. In your opinion, what do you think will happen to Infiniti? Even their new products like the QX60 didn't make a huge splash in the market. Seems lackluster overall. So the QX60, I think they did a good job. So that's the Pathfinder they turn into an Infiniti. But the problem is they just did one car. Like I was thinking, oh, great. Infiniti's back. They're bringing out a new QX60. Maybe they'll bring out a QX50. Maybe they'll revamp the lineup, update the head units, get rid of the continuously variable transmission, bring out a new G50. The G50, I think, came out in, I can't remember when it was, 2009, 2010. It's like ancient. And it's crazy. So I would suggest that unless they start doing something with that brand, I don't know what they plan on doing with Infiniti. It just seems so sad that they had a great opportunity with a premium brand and they've just let it rot on the vine. They have the technology, they have the design, they have all of that stuff on the Nissan side. Why don't they rebadge some of these cars as Infinitis? For example, what's the electric one called? I keep thinking of the Lyriq, which is the Cadillac. You know the one I mean. Their electric SUV at Nissan, the Aria. That really could have been sold as an Infiniti. The interior is that good on it. Or they could just change it slightly and introduce it as an Infiniti. So I don't know. I can't imagine the dealer network that sells these things is particularly happy. They've got no new products to sell. So I'm with you. Here's Jerome again with another super chat. Thank you very much, Jerome. About the BRZ GR86, with proper winter tires, would you say they have sufficient ground clearance for Quebec bumps or Eastern Quebec winters? I would say no. That's a pretty low to the ground car. It's a very small car, and I'm like, you can do anything you want, and you can drive through the winter, but it wouldn't be my choice. So no, especially for very heavy snow, I don't think that would be a great choice. You could do it, but the car would get abused. You would get abused. It wouldn't be the car I would choose. The Mighty Runt, that's a good name. What are your thoughts on the warranty that Mitsubishi offers, finding that it's a struggle to get service under warranty? Under it. Buddy Nick even got rid of the new Outlander because of the hassles. I don't know what to say about individual instances with warranty claims and brands. What I would suggest is whenever you get into a situation like that, you always want to escalate it to the brand. Call their consumer contact, go on the website, find their consumer contact number, phone, get them to open a file, say, I'd like to make an official complaint that my car isn't being covered under warranty. Tell the dealership that, call head office. You want to escalate these things and let them know that you truly believe that it should be covered under warranty. We've heard this before from other brands that have had very long warranties, that, yeah, it's not really worth much as you get out into the ends of the warranty, because they'll just find a way to not cover whatever you're claiming. So that's a bit of a cautionary tale for anybody that is lured into a certain brand because of a long warranty. I don't know the instance here, what's going on, what is being denied, but it's just something to be aware of. As the vehicle ages in place, there's probably ways that the brand and the dealer could say, well, that's not really because of the vehicle, that's because of something you did, we're not going to cover that. There's just an opportunity for them to do that. Is it a bit ambiguous? Is it cut and dry? That's really what I don't know. But something to be cautious of for brands that offer long warranties. MTB Mike, how did the summer go? Well, we had a very dry summer here on the West Coast. You might have seen that there were major forest fires. If you're in the U.S., major forest fires across Canada. We had them here as well. A lot of you are not or might be aware that I used to be a weather guy for many years, and we have switched from La Nina to an El Nino. So we had 3 La Nina years in a row, which is very, very odd. That's cold water off the western coast of South America. And that brought a whole bunch of weather pattern changes, especially to the northern hemisphere over the last 3 years. That's incredible. We've only had 2 triple dip La Ninas ever in recorded history, and we've switched from that to an El Nino. So what we expect now is to have a warmer year or so, but wetter, especially for western United States. California could expect to have another wet winter, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, our summer here was very dry and very warm. AJ, what would you recommend as a vehicle for ride sharing? I'm torn between a RAV4 Hybrid and a Sonata Hybrid. Basically, SUV hybrid versus sedan hybrid. My goal is to max mileage and being reasonably comfortable. I'm not sure what you mean by ride sharing. Are you going to use it as a driver for like an Uber? Is that what you mean? Or are you going to share it with somebody else in your family? I'm not sure what you mean by that. In my opinion, the RAV4 Hybrid, I've said this many times, I think that the RAV4 Hybrid is the best vehicle on the road, period. Let's just run the numbers on this. Compact SUV, that's what everybody wants to buy. Toyota, known reliability. Toyota, known resale value. Toyota, known fuel economy. Toyota, known for their hybrid systems. When you put all of that together, there's really no vehicle that can touch it. That's the category everybody is shopping in, compact utilities, and they have a compelling package. And when you add in what they actually cost, their vehicle is a lot cheaper than many of their competitors, and offers all of that. So my go-to always is RAV4 Hybrid. You just cannot beat that. You can it's not exciting. It's not going to put a smile on your face every time you drive it, but it's going to do the job day in, day out, week in, week out. It's going to do it. And then when you go to sell it, you're going to get a lot of that money back. So that would be my choice of those ones. Okay, let's get into another super chat, I believe. Do you think the GLE 450E will have a third row soon? I don't believe so. From what I remember about the battery placement on the E, it is under the floor at the back. So that's where the seats obviously fold down. So it's something you'd want to check with the dealer, but I think because of the configuration of the battery, that's the E model, that's the plug-in, the battery's got to go somewhere. And the very first 450 had it in the trunk. So if that's the case, that's why you don't have the third row. So they'll want you to go up and get a GLS, but not available as a plug-in. So thank you for the super chat. All right, we have 277 people on board. That's not bad considering we've been off the air here for the live show for coming on 3 months. So thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. It's nice of you. Okay, let's get to another question here. Here's Ron Gillespie. Kia Stinger, considering one for my next purchase, should we be concerned buying a car in a final model year? What about parts availability down the road? Any concerns around the Stinger? No, I wouldn't worry about getting parts, at least for 10 years. If they're selling a car in the marketplace, they're going to stand behind it with parts availability. It also shares parts with other vehicles, so it's not like it lives all on its own. Of course, body panels and things, yes, but engine and there's other vehicles will have similar. See, I've gone and gotten rid of the little thing playing in the background, so now it shuts off. I wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest with you. If you like the car, and I do like it a lot, 365 horsepower, 3.3 liter twin turbo, 3.3 liter turbo. It's a fairly big car. We had an Audi A7. It reminds me a lot of the Audi A7. It's a lot of car for the money. So I would say that if you like the idea of a Stinger, you're going to want to move on it fairly quickly, because we've been hearing about its demise for the last couple of years, and nothing's been made official, but you're reading the tea leaves, and so am I, that I don't think it's going to be refreshed. And they're probably going to want to use that capacity at the factory for something that sells better. So I'm a big fan of the Stinger. So have at it. Is there any way to modify a hybrid or PHEV for better performance? I would suggest probably the only way you could do it would be maybe with the Hyundai or Kias that have turbocharged engines, and then they're hybridized or made into a PHEV. You've got to remember, though, that like all of that system works together, and it's meshed through with like thousands of lines of code to get the optimal fuel economy. You might be able to do something with the turbo and turn up the boost. It's possible. Anything's possible. But the whole engine, the electronics, the battery, and everything are calibrated to work together to produce all kinds of functions you're not even aware of. How long the engine is on to produce heat in the cabin, how long it stays on to help generate electricity when it's needed, when it switches off for you to switch to battery power to save fuel. So that wouldn't be the kind of vehicle that I would modify at all, because, as I mentioned, there's thousands of lines of code that are making that whole system work. You probably could do it, but I wouldn't. Ace of Spades. Would you go base Grand Highlander or base CX-90? Now you've had both for a full week at home. Well, it really comes down to the Grand Highlander is a much bigger vehicle than the CX-90. And this thing is fully baked, unlike the CX-90, in my opinion, has some teething issues. Toyota, so you got to remember, this is built on the TNGA platform that they've used already for many vehicles. Sure, the 2.4 liter turbo is a new power plant, but they will have tested it for a long time. It's going to be used in Tacoma. It's used in Highlander, Grand Highlander, and many other Lexus and Toyota products. And when we've driven them, it's felt very polished and finished. The CX-90, when we drove it a second time here at home, didn't quite feel quite ready for prime time yet. Doesn't mean that it won't be shortly. Maybe some software updates and things. We found the transmission was a little lazy to do its job, to downshift, even in sport mode. So that's one area. But also, this is, even though it's a brand new product, it's an evolution of what they've been doing over the last few years. As I mentioned, it's built on the TNGA platform. It's a lot of the components that they use in other vehicles over the last few years, just all baked into this particular formula. But for Mazda, that vehicle is all new platform, all new engine, all new transmission, all new all-wheel drive system, and so on. And that's why I would probably give the edge to Toyota. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to pull it off as well, but if you're looking for a little bit more nimble and agile vehicle, maybe the Mazda. But I tell you, I just took this back today to the Toyota where we pick and drop off the Toyotas, and it's a really nice vehicle. They did an excellent job on it. And the video came out yesterday, and I stand behind it. I think the Grand Highlander is absolutely going to crush it in the marketplace. What do you think about Kia and their cars lately? Seems like they are surpassing Hyundai with a buzz they're creating. For example, the EV9 is already announced long before Ioniq 7, but Hyundai owns Kia. It seems to me that they seem to trade off depending on the category of vehicle, which one comes out first and which one comes out second. So if you look, for example, at Santa Fe, was just shown in the last couple of months, and that vehicle is brand new, and there isn't a new Sorento, which are similar platforms, right? And then you'll have another vehicle like Seltos was updated before Kona, and they seem to alternate back and forth. Like, for example, Genesis came out with the G70 before Kia came out with the Stinger, both built on the same platform, same engines, and so on. So they sort of kind of alternate back and forth. So obviously Kia's taking the lead on the 3-row electrified SUV. Hyundai will be behind it, but they've got Santa Fe that they're launching. So it doesn't always work out that one gets the love over the other. But I will say that I do think Kia design speaks to me personally. I like the way their cars look. Another one is Kia Niro was updated before Kona as well. So I kind of agree with you that maybe Kia, if you like the look of their vehicles, looks like they're outdoing Hyundai. But when we get our hands on that Santa Fe, I think it's going to be interesting to drive, because that's really a statement vehicle. I don't think it is as cut and dry as you make out. Okay, another super chat, I believe. This is from Dave and MSP. Do you think Toyota will ever import the real Land Cruiser to North America, the LC300? I don't think so. They've already announced the one they're going to bring in. I think that's the one we're going to get. I mean, you do have the LX from the Lexus side, which is arguably more in line with what you would get in other markets. But no, I don't think, you got to remember that these companies have so many different masters that they have to appeal to. So the consumer obviously is the one that needs to want it and buy it. Also, fuel economy standards, crash safety worthiness, all of different standards for different jurisdictions. So they've obviously decided to come in and do the Land Cruiser, now smaller, more fuel efficient, and also the big advantage is much cheaper. So credit where credit is due. It might not be for you or for me, but I guarantee you they'll have many more takers of that product because it's more attainable, it's more efficient, and for most people, they're not taking it off-road anyway. So it's more about the looks and the ability to tow and the ability to go off-road. And I think that's going to appeal to more people than bringing in a much, much more expensive Land Cruiser or LX-based Land Cruiser to North America. Another super chat. I use my Mitsubishi Outlander for Uber ride sharing. Mitsubishi Garage won't cover under warranty because they consider it as a commercial vehicle. I have to pay out of pocket. Well, that's the first I've ever heard of that, but also a cautionary tale for somebody who's using a vehicle for ride sharing. You know what? Yeah, I guess it's not a personal vehicle anymore. You are not taking it and using it for everyday use. You're using it for something else. I don't see why it should void the warranty, but that's crazy, right? Yes, that's a cautionary tale. I think back to the point I made earlier, you know, if brands can use something to get out of paying warranty claims, maybe they'll do it. So how do they know, though, that your vehicle is being used for ride sharing? That's what I'd like to know. But I don't know what to say about that. You could call head office, as I mentioned, and open a file and ask them, because, you know, I don't see how having extra passengers in the back of the vehicle is going to have an undue burden on the vehicle. Is it Sakib or Sakib? You sent a super chat. Thank you for that. What do you think of buying a used BMW? Used 2019 or 20 X5 has become more affordable. Thinking how to the maintenance would be. Okay, so if you're looking at a 2019 or 2020, probably try if you can afford it for the 2020. And that way, you're going to be able to have the vehicle still under warranty, because if the vehicle was registered in 2020, it's got a 4-year warranty. So you've still got maybe a year left, depending on when it went onto the road. And now, if you buy it from a dealer, you can also get the certified pre-owned warranty, which will extend major parts of the warranty for an additional 2 years. Do yourself a favor and read what is covered and what isn't covered. When CPO was first introduced for BMW, it was the same kind of comprehensive warranty that you had for 4 years, extended by 2 years. But now the CPO warranties have changed. They cover a lot of components, but not all of them. And we found this out because we had a viewer that contacted us and said that they got a BMW with a CPO, and they bought it specifically because of that. And the radio head unit started crapping out, and they said, well, that's not covered under CPO, and it was thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to fix it. So do yourself a favor. The BMW X5 is excellent. In that category, whether it's GLE, Porsche Cayenne, BMW X5, I think the inline 6-cylinder that is in the X5 is the ace. That's what sets that vehicle apart. BMW's been making those engines forever. They have a proven ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, a good all-wheel drive system, very well designed and engineered. They have proven to be really quite reliable. I'm a big fan of that generation one you're talking about. Find the best one that you can. Make sure you get it inspected by a mechanic, and also see if you can get it with extended warranty, that CPO warranty. But yeah, if you can afford one and get one, it's a hell of a product for the price. Okay, we have 349 people, almost 350 people on board. That's awesome. And we have 101 thumbs up. If you guys could smash the thumbs up, that would be great. That helps for whatever reason after the fact when this goes on as a recording. Okay, where were we again? Got to go back up here. Sorry, guys. This is from Demetris. Honda CR-V Hybrid or Sportage Hybrid 2024. It depends whether you're in the United States or Canada. In the United States, they have a hybrid sport model on the CR-V that is much cheaper than the top platinum version. So you have a budget-friendly hybrid in the CR-V range. In Canada, we don't really have that. We have the top, not platinum, touring is what I meant to say. we have the top touring model, and we have a slightly less expensive version, but it's only a couple of $1,000s less. The Kia is a much less expensive hybrid, and I think a much nicer interior. Do yourself a favor, go on the channel, watch the Kia Sportage or Sportage hybrid video we did, and it has the beautiful terracotta brick color red interior. Look really good with the gray outside. Andrea and I really both like that product. It's quiet, it's smooth, it's refined, it's proven to be quite reliable. We're not hearing any rumblings from people saying it hasn't been a good vehicle. So it all comes down to price. What Honda has is probably better brand reputation for maybe resale value down the road, but something to consider. Try them both out, see the one you like. If you had to just ask me like right now, I would say the Kia, but the CR-V, the new one, they did a beautiful job. Like, the one thing you've got to think of, like the stuff that people like now, the screens and the infotainment system. Again, the CR-V, it's like little rinky-dink and small. And then you get the Kia with the beautiful dual pane panel, or the single pane dual screen instrument cluster and radio. It's real classy and nice looking, so check it out. BBEMD, hey Zach, all Alberta Kia dealers are including $3,800 winter package. This is advertised in just another way to up the price of MSRP. Thoughts? Well, so when all this price adjustment started about, well, when we started seeing a shortage of cars 2.5 years ago after COVID started, the rules in the Canadian market are different than the United States. In the United States, they can just say, this is the price, take it or leave it. In Canada, they're supposed to sell it at MSRP. Now, the loophole in that, with the dealer regulatory bodies, is if you advertise the price and you say a dealer price, not the manufacturer's suggested price, but the dealer price, then you're allowed to do that. That's why you're seeing they're saying, okay, we're selling you a Kia Sorento, and you were throwing in a $4,000 winter tire package, and you have to buy it all together or you don't get the car. That is allowed because they're advertising it as a dealer price, and they're making you take features that you wouldn't normally want. Like they'll put one in the showroom and it's got a roof rack and a bug deflector, and it's been ceramic coated, and all of that's $5,000. And you say, but I don't want a roof rack, I don't want a bug deflector, and I don't want ceramic coating. They're like, well, that's the one we've got, take it or leave it, it's an extra $5,000. That's what they're up to, and it is a loophole in the regulations in the Canadian marketplace. They are allowed to do it if they advertise it. That's why you're seeing it as an advertised price, including $3,800 for additional winter package. The good news is, though, you are getting hopefully a half-decent set of wheels and tires. You might only be getting steel wheels and hopefully not some cheap Chinese tires, but you want to get some good tires. Okay, that was from Demetris. We're going to go down. I think we got more super chats here. Thank you for the super chat. Thinking of buying a Highlander Hybrid Limited, do you think it is worth getting the Platinum, though it's $2,000 more? Not sure why they don't add a 360 camera. Well, this is really a gut check for you to go on the website. Often on the I'm trying to remember if Toyota has it, but you can do a comparison between models. They do break it down on their website, like what each trim kind of has in it, and you need to go back and forth on that and really decide if you need all of the stuff that's in the top trim. Now, the way a lot of people square this, and the reason why car companies do this, is because when you actually get into what is it going to cost you per month to go from one trim to the next trim, to go from limited to platinum, $2,000 MSRP month to month is really not that much. It's probably, you know, X number of dollars more, 20, 30, 40, $50 more. Well, most people, when they get to that point, they're like, okay, honey, I guess we'll just spend the extra $35 a month and we'll get the one with the 360 camera. That's called a grade walk. They want to walk you up from one trim to the next trim to the top trim because it's got certain features in it, Why do they not put the 360 camera in the limited model? Because they want more of your money. They want you to walk up the grade from one to the other. That's why certain features are in certain packages. Now, can you live without a 360 camera? Of course you can. Have you been driving a vehicle now without a 360 camera? Probably. Well, we drive all kinds of different vehicles. We drive over 100 different vehicles a year. Some of them are very fancy and have cameras everywhere. Some of them are basic and don't have a camera at all. So you can do it, but you know what? A lot of people will just look at it and go, run the numbers. If you can afford the difference, a lot of people will go for it. I don't think you need a 360 camera. It needs, by law, to have a mandatory backup camera. And I'm not sure if the Limited has the sonar, you know, the beep, beep, beep when you back up. That's very helpful, something to consider. Danny Luke, welcome back for the super chat. Thank you very much. Very nice of you. Okay. Okay, let's go back to where we were. We're almost at 400. That's awesome for a first day back. And 175 thumbs up. Awesome. Good to see. Okay, I gotta figure out where I was. All right, there was Demetrius was the last one. Okay. Here's Scott. Definitely get the Sportage Hybrid. CRV gas mileage is not there. That is true. We were not getting the posted fuel economy with the CRV Hybrid. Hi Zach, do you think Genesis GV70 2.5? You still pick it as your fave luxury compact SUV? So the GV70 does a lot of things really well, and we really like the 2.5. The 3.5 just we thought was a bit too much money, and it's, you know, from when we recorded that video where we said it was our top pick, there's been some new vehicles that have come into the marketplace. There's a new GLC, which is very well done. But yeah, that Genesis, they've done a lot of things well. If you look at the quality scores of Genesis, we're seeing excellent reports of good quality from Genesis. So if you like the vehicle, and I have no problem recommending it. So knock yourself out. Here's Jamie. Lyriq or Lexus RX 350h. Thinking the plug-in RX will be too expensive. Why wouldn't Lexus put the TX plug-in V6 inside the RX with regular buttons on the wheel? I don't know why that. And the thing is, sorry about this. You got to really, you know, decide whether you want to plug in. You're saying Lyriq or a 350h. Well, the 350h is just a regular hybrid versus a Lyriq. They're very different products. Why they have this mix and match of different kinds of powertrains, you know, obviously they're deciding to hold back some technology for the Lexus brand. We're going to drive the TX in the beginning of October in Texas, in Austin. So if you're not in a rush, just wait until we come back and we'll have a full review of the TX. Mr. Bobby Brown, do you have concrete date yet to test drive the new Tacoma coming out, specifically the manual? I do not. I've heard rumors it might be near the LA Auto Show. Haven't heard anything specific, but I have heard a rumor that it's going to be probably in November. Hall's Car Review, enjoy your GTI, it'll be awesome. Yeah, so the GTI is being ordered. Apparently it's going to be built not this coming week, the next week. And then once the car's built, it's got to be sent to the port, put on a ship, sent to Halifax, put on a train, sent to Vancouver, put on a truck, sent to the dealer, delivered. I'm guessing if it is made next week, unless they push back production for whatever reason, we're thinking December, maybe a little earlier. I don't know, but it's not the ideal time to get the performance version of the GTI with straight summer tires. Already have winter tires on order, and we'll put the car on the winter tires. But it would be nice to have it for, you know, a month or so before having to switch the performance tires off. Any thoughts on rear passenger seat belt tensioners for better occupant protection? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you mean by seatbelt tensioners for better occupant protection. Are you talking about the electronic ones that cinch you back in, like you get with some of the high-end cars for front seat passengers? The new trend also is to have airbag between the passenger and the driver. That's a new trend. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You guys are already at 304,000 subs. Awesome. Yes, thank you. It seems to be growing. That's the what we like. Hey, Zach, why is Kia demanding 9.9% interest? I noticed several EV6 GT models now at dealer lots. Well, cars are, in my opinion, way too expensive. EVs are expensive. 9.9% interest is not out of line, considering, like, if you like most cars I see, if it's not a reduced interest rate, are going from 7 to almost 10% interest now. I'm not sure if you noticed, they keep putting the price of money up. So unless they're discounting it for a specific model, that's kind of the going rate. If you wanted to go, say you went to the bank and you said, I want to take a loan out of $50,000 to buy this electric car, you would be getting interest rate similar to that. So I'm not sure what you can say about that, other than we're living in inflationary times. Here's Michelle. Got a 2024 Kia Carnival in late July. It's amazing. But then 3 weeks later, our second car, Dodge Grand Caravan, broke down and had to buy another vehicle, which is a 2020 Corolla in red, an expensive summer. Well, that sucks. There's nothing worse than having to buy something when you're forced to. My brother was I was talking to my brother, and they had an old Sienna minivan that just kind of got too rusty. And they went to do something to it, and the mechanic said, you shouldn't be driving this, got to take it off the road. And now he's like forced to buy a car. And so that's not fun when you're in a situation where you have to buy in a marketplace which isn't favorable to buying. So that's never good to be out there shopping when prices are crazy, the selection is limited. And he bought a used car to tide him over until this new car arrives. But yeah, I feel for you. That's tough. Thinking between a GV70 Sport Prestige and Jaguar F-Pace, are Jaguars reliable? Have always bought CPO in the past, but slim pickings on both with CPO. Is it worth buying either new? Listen, Jag has not had good reliability scores at all. Like Land Rover Jaguar vehicles are absolutely down near the bottom when it comes to quality scores. And Genesis has had really good quality scores over the last few years. So if it's between those two, I would say GV70. It's interesting because we haven't had a Jag F-Pace to drive here for a long time, which is too bad because I like the look of them. When they first came out, they were everywhere. But yeah, if those two vehicles, I go GV70. Here's Lisa, just joining. Any news on the Honda Passport 2024? They will be bringing out a Passport. We were with the PR person from Honda, and he didn't tell me exactly when, but he said it is coming. If you think about the cadence of new vehicles coming, so the Passport is built off the Pilot. We got the Pilot this year, so a Passport will probably be coming for next year. I think we have another super chat here. Lunchbox Steve, good handle. Please educate the masses that extended oil change intervals are not a good idea. More than 8,000 kilometers, 5,000 miles is not a good idea. Thoughts? Well, there is a difference between going with a synthetic and mineral oil, or conventional mineral oil. The intervals on a lot of new cars has been extended more for marketing and sales ploy, just because people look at maintenance as a grudge purchase. They don't like spending money on their car after they've already spent a huge amount of money on their car. So that's why these interval changes are really quite long. I think with Porsche, the first oil change is 24,000 kilometers. Can you think of that? 24,000 kilometers, what's that? Around 17,000 miles? Crazy, right? That's on full synthetic oil. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't really cost that much to change the oil, and it is good preventative maintenance, and it's not going to hurt your car at all. So if you want to keep your car long term, changing the oil on a more regular basis with a good quality oil, if you can spend the extra and put synthetic in, never a bad idea. Make sure to change the filter at the same time. So yeah, it doesn't cost a lot to do it. A lot of people look at it as a grudge purchase. You know, people are... When I was a kid, you would drive down the highway and you would see cars on the side of the road with the hood up and the guy standing there like this, looking inside going, what's wrong with the car? You rarely see cars broken down anymore. Cars are so much more reliable than they were. And the intervals for looking after them as being stretched so long that people just think that new cars are kind of infallible. That's not the case. You're owning a vehicle for the first 4 or 5 years, you're probably going to be okay doing that. If you plan on keeping a car for much longer, then you really do want to try and keep an eye on those sorts of things. And it wouldn't hurt it to do oil changes more often. All right. Let me find out where I was. Where are we at now? Oh, 450. 200 thumbs up. Appreciate that. That's very nice of you guys. Okay, we read that one already. Read that one already. A. Lee. Hey, Zach. Would you prefer an Audi Q3 or the brand new BMW X1? Do we expect Q3 to be refreshed anytime soon? Thank you. Well, the Q3 came out in 2019 or 2020? I drove it in 2019 as a 2020. So it's only been in the marketplace for 3 years. So for 24 into 25, there'll probably be a facelift, and that's probably all they're going to do. Audi doesn't do wholesale changes to their vehicles at all. If you've ever seen a facelifted Audi, you probably won't be able to tell much has changed. The vehicle sells incredibly well. It's one of their best sellers. It's great value. It has a proven engine. It's basically the GTI engine. It runs on regular gas. It's got a lot of things going for it. Not too expensive. Practical design. Proven engine. Runs on regular gas. Not too flashy, right? So that's all good. Now, the BMW is a shared platform with Mini. It's a Countryman platform and a BMW X1 platform. And it has maybe arguably better, I would say it does have better driving dynamics. Both those brands, Mini and BMW, put more stock in driving dynamics and handling. It has more power. It uses premium gas, but gets better fuel economy. The interior is arguably nicer. That's the one downside of the Q3, is that the interior is Volkswagen Plus. It's not really fancy at all on the inside. It's kind of like a Volkswagen on the inside, which is what it is. It's basically based on the European Tiguan. So, you know, if it's about value, I think the Audi Q3 offers more value. If it's about dynamics and having something newer and nicer, arguably, then I say it would be X1. Okay, I think we have even another super chat. You guys are spoiling me tonight. This is from Michael. I ordered a Prius Prime and rates on leasing in Quebec are high now. Better to cancel and go to an EV. I don't do much long distance. Want to stay with Toyota, but the BZ4X isn't giving a long range. What's your opinion? The problem you have in the Quebec market is the prices are so skewed because of the rebates. If you're not familiar, in Canada, we get a $5,000 federal rebate for buying an electric vehicle. In the province of Quebec, no, it's been a while since I've checked. I think it's about $8,000. $8,000 additional dollars to get an EV. So when you add all of that together, why the hell wouldn't you get an EV? And the BZ, it's interesting you bring up the BZ or the BZ4X. In Vancouver, they're everywhere. I can't believe how many of them are on the road. But you just said to me you don't drive that much. That car will probably fulfill your needs as an EV. If you're not driving a ton, it probably has the range. And you'll be just fine. And if you can plug it in at home and you wake up every morning and you've got essentially a full tank, a full battery, you're going to be just fine. I think, but there were stories. Jerome might jump in here because he lives in Quebec. There were stories that the Toyota was having problems in cold weather. So that's something you're going to read into a little bit more for your specific application in Quebec. There are other electric vehicles out there, and it's not like Toyota has any corner on electrification. For electric vehicles, there's a lot of very good products out there, because what Toyota has brought to the marketplace is proven and reliable vehicles for all of their vehicles, but there's a lot of proven and fairly reliable EVs out there too. One of the problems is EVs have a lot of new technology in them that is a little bit more buggy. And that's the case with a lot of them. A lot of it has to do with the interface, the human car interface, the electronics, silly door handles, things like that. So that's something you're going to have to really decide how much you drive the car and what you're going to do with it. All right, we're almost at 500. It would be a real feather in the cap to get us over 500 for the first live show back. That would be really cool. Really cool. All right. Oh, by the way, we were talking about the RAV4 earlier and why I think it's one of the best vehicles on the road. So Jerome, who's a regular here, he says, I have a RAV4 Hybrid Woodland. This thing is very, very boring to drive, but it's everything Zach says it is. I do 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers average. Got it a couple of months ago. I call it Maytag because it's an appliance. It's not exciting, but if you're excited about reliability and fuel economy, if that's what gets you jacked, a RAV4 Hybrid will do the trick for sure. Okay. Here's Rizzy. Just bought a 19 Macan S, June 30th, CPO for 2 years, but didn't know about the power difference in the newer ones. I want to get another CPO, but will take a $10,000 loss. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Macan S, listen, most people are not going to be able to utilize the power that car has now. So I think that is, I'm trying to remember, the Macan S in 2019. I'm just spitballing this, is what? Around 360 horsepower? 340, something like that? Listen, that's more than enough power for that small vehicle. And I would not take a $10,000 bath just to make yourself feel good knowing that there's more power under the hood. Are you really going to use all that power? Listen, I have a Cayenne GTS, and I don't use a fraction of the power because I drive it because it's just a car. It's one of the things that people get all hung up on is horsepower. How much of that are you really using? You have a good product. It's under warranty. It's perfectly fine. And I think with 19 was the year they went to the bigger infotainment screen. I might be wrong. That's a hell of a nice car. Just enjoy it. What are your thoughts on the Chevy Equinox EV and the $37,000 price? And do you think they'll jack up the price like they did with the Blazer when they finally released the lineup pricing this summer? So I think what you're thinking is the Blazer. They announced they're bringing in the is it the RS model, RS model, and it's like $60,000. So what they're obviously doing is putting out the expensive one. For those that really want it first are going to have to buy the most expensive model. And then they'll hopefully bring in like a 1LT or something as, you know, the months go by. But initially they're bringing out the top model. I would have hoped that they might have brought it in the other way around and said, we're bringing in the base model, hitting that $37,000 price, and then maybe 6 months later bring in the RS model and have your $60,000 version. I don't hold a lot of stock that they're going to be able to hit those price points. I just don't. We're seeing a lot of price pressure on these car companies, increasing the prices, and then you have a brand like Tesla that has volume and the capacity and is dropping prices, absolutely crushing other EV makers. Ford has had to drop the price of the Mach-E, and instead of making money, they're losing more per unit. They're losing money, but they'll make it up in volume. That's that old catchphrase. But they're hoping as they get to be able to produce more electric vehicles, they can bring their costs down. we haven't really seen it in the marketplace other than Tesla. They're the ones they're driving this whole thing when it comes to pricing, because they have the capacity to make more cars than everybody else. That's all they make. They only make EVs. And when you get into Chevrolet making still Silverado gas trucks and regular Equinox gas models and EVs, they're a slave to many masters. Tesla is just a slave to one master. They make EVs. That's it. And you know what? Their formula at first, I didn't think it was going to work. It worked, and people have bought into it. So why are brands all trying to switch to EV as fast as they can, so they can get scale, much the same way Tesla did? I don't think that they're going to hit that price point. I could be wrong, but I just don't think so. $4.99. Are we going to get over 500 people? That would be cool. We just need one more person to join. One more. We'll get there, hopefully. Here's this Joe. Hey, Zach, what's your opinion on the Cayenne best Porsche year and model to turn into an overland? Keep up the great vlogs. Okay, the first generation Cayenne. So we have the first generation. We have two Cayennes, a first generation and a second generation. The first generation that was sold up to 2010 is a better overlander because it came standard with a 2-speed transfer case. Okay, so you want to look at 08, 09, and 10, because 08, 09, and 10 had upgraded engines, new exterior styling. That was the facelifted model. The one I have an 08 GTS. So you still get the 2-speed transfer case, but your engines go from, the V6 went from a 3.2 to a 3.6. The V8s went from a 4.5 to a 4.8, much more reliable. Coolant tubes were updated on the V8s. The turbos had a lot more power. You could get air suspension on all years. But the main thing is that 2-speed transfer case. If you're really going to use it for overlanding, you want a vehicle that you can put in the reduction gear and go slow speed crawling over things. And that's what you can get with that first gen up to 2010. Okay? 2008, 2009, 2010. Those are the years you want to look for. When they flip to the second one that we have, that's called a 958. That was introduced in 2011, and that went up to 2018. Still a very capable vehicle. The one I would look for in that range would be the diesel, because the diesel has great low-end torque, has a different, what's the one thing it has? There's something that commonly fails. I'm trying to remember what it is, and it is different with, it's the transfer case, but it doesn't have a 2-speed transfer case. The transfer case can fail on the gas models. On the diesel, it's slightly different. Now, they got rid of the 2-speed transfer case in 2011. So for low-speed driving, it's not going to be as good, but the vehicle overall is lighter. So if it was me, first of all, those first-generation ones, if you're going to turn it into an overlander, they're cheaper, and they're absolutely more capable. What's a better pick, a RAV4 Hybrid or a Honda CR-V Hybrid? Well, we went through that already. I think it's the RAV4. Are there any PHEV pickup trucks on the horizon? I'm just trying to remember if the F-150 was sold as a hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid. No, there isn't yet. You're right, there isn't yet. But they're going to be going full EV. There is a refresh for the MDX coming next year. I've read that they are bumper grille styling changes in the V6 from the Pilot. Does anything know to get rid of the trackpad? So I would suggest that probably not. Like if it's just a mid-cycle refresh, it will be a classic facelift. Usually bumpers, grille headlamps, rear bumper, rear tail lamps. So probably not major changes. When they did do it with the RDX, that's all it was. So nothing else changed. Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't miss a super chat, because if someone's paying, you kind of want to answer their question, right? Yeah, I think we hit all of them. Thanks to everybody. We did get over the 500 live. That is awesome. Thanks to everybody. So the goal is to be back every Sunday at this time, 4 p.m. Pacific, that's 7 p.m. Eastern. unless we're on the road. And I'll tell you in advance if we're going to be away. Once again, on Tuesday, Questions, Coffee, and Cars. That's the pre-recorded segment where we answer your questions. On Wednesday, the BMW M2. I'm just editing it in here. On Saturday is the Corolla Cross Hybrid, second look at that new model. And we are off to Quebec. We're going to Montreal on Wednesday and then into the Eastern Townships to drive the new Kona from Hyundai. So we're excited to do that. And that video will be a week Wednesday. We'll put that video out. So thanks to everybody. I really appreciate everybody coming back. I didn't know if anybody would show up. And here you are. And I'm stunned by all the super chats. And especially for a very generous one from Scott. That's very nice of you. Thank you to everybody. And we'll see you next Sunday. And go Bills, go! See you later.